Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de Asiedu yopo.
Then the other one, the transition. The transition, which Mr. Bundy and Dr. Callistus have had cause to complain. Because the president is worried. Because the only thing he will have to do is to raise his machete and cut. He doesn't have anybody to please. After all, he's just a one term. When he's done, he's done. But he should secure his government and create the peace.
But Doc, I'm working with you. You are my appointee. I have heard that you have an ambition. I have given you KPIs. You are meeting those KPIs. Why do I care whether you have an ambition or not?
As long as your ambition
yes.
is a distraction.
How? I've given you KPIs.
Yes.
I've given you KPIs. The deliverables are there. You are supposed to meet them. I said, leave this one, take it there. Do this, do that. I'm doing it.
If that were the case,
how does my ambition? How does my ambition bother the president?
If that were the case, why would they be complaining?
No, people are free to complain, which is fine. But I'm just saying that we must also begin to critique and interrogate the basis for the complaint.
Okay.
If there's a certain minister or there's an appointee who has an ambition, but the person, this appointee, is not delivering, then you have basis to say that, look, you now you're not doing the job well. And you too, instead of focusing on fixing the challenges or fixing your incompetence, you are rather focusing on ambition. So go and stay at home.
Great.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I'm saying that if the appointee is doing their job, I don't have, and I am the appointing authority, or I am the appointor. I have no reason to reshuffle you or to take you out of that position. As far as I'm concerned, you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Why must just the fact that a mere hearsay that you have an ambition be a reason or sufficient basis for me to say that I am reshuffling you or I'm sacking you? I mean, what kind of... Then the man will perhaps sack a lot of his appointees. Because as we sit, there are close to about 20 people who are waiting for the bell to be rung, for them to say they are interested.
I get your point.
You know, and for all you know, that appointee is perhaps one of your brightest spots. Or Yejumanu, he's doing the job, he's delivering.
You see?
So if I don't have any reason to think that you are being sidetracked or you're being distracted by your ambition, why would I sack you?
What?
There are people who don't have ambition, but they are not doing anything.
Yeah, Moro, yes, I agree. What is the basis of the disconnect? What is the basis of the disconnect between the government and the party?
Yes.
The chairman of the party,
national
if he has
chairman.
an ambition, the national chairman, Mr. Asiedu, a man I highly respect,
right.
If he has an ambition of becoming the flag bearer of the party, do you think there could be a disconnection?
Again, let me ask you this question.
And you see, the chairman is not an appointer.
He's not.
That is
Yes, he's not an appointee. He's not an appointee. I agree.
Appointee,
yes.
He's not an appointee of the president.
He's not an appointee. He's
so
a party
that in
officer.
itself is very dicey. That in itself is very dicey.
But that is why perhaps
so take for example, he is going on thank you tour.
Yes.
You were elected before the president.
Yes.
Why didn't you go on a thank you tour when you were elected?
But I said,
why must it be a situation where the president has gone on a thank you tour already? He has been elected freshly. Then you also decide to go on a thank you tour. Well, it is not bad. But a situation where if you listen to what Mr. Bundy said, he should have equally been part of the thank you tour.
No problem. In order to give context to the conversation we're having, in order to enrich it, you recall that this matter came out before.
Yes.
Asiedu had granted an interview. It was the same, my younger brother Umar Sanda. My younger brother Umar Sanda. He asked him, why was going to a thank you tour? I don't know if we still have that video. But I heard the national chairman say, the reason why I'm going for that thank you tour is because I promised the people. And he says that he wants to be a man of
his word,
credibility, or a man of my word. I told the people, regardless of the outcome of the 2024 election, I'll be back. Now, everybody is free to hypothesize why he would want to come back, regardless of the outcome. Whether he has his own ambition or not, people are free to do so. But I'm saying that the man says, I made a promise. I must fulfill the promise. I must walk my talk. And that's why he's going on that campaign, the thank you talk. Can you then say that don't do it because I suspect that you have an ambition?
No, I agree with the chairman.
As for how the thank you tour is being organized, where Mustafa Ngwade says he would have wished that perhaps he, Mustafa Gbande, is part of the team that's going on that thank you tour.
Yeah.
And that's his opinion. That for the national chairman alone to be going around and meeting party full soldiers, of course, for the regional executives and so on.
You also created the impression that as a national chairman, as if you were the only person who was elected and who appreciates the election that has been given.
Yeah, but he didn't.
So anybody else,
he didn't say it before the election. That when the NDC wins the election, myself, Barbara Samoa, Fifi Abikwete, Akogan, Sami Jemfi will come back to you to thank you. That's not a promise. The promise that me personally, I'll come.
When the president goes on a thank you tour,
yes,
he doesn't go alone.
Yeah, but that's the president.
But this is the national chairman acting in the capacity as a national chairman.
Well,
you should have gone with everybody else. It is probably because others do not see the genuineness in the thank you tour. At least it is good.
What does
If he had
Asiedu
gone
Ketes
on a
so
thank you tour,
hold on.
immediately after his election as a national chairman, it would have made perfect sense.
What does this solo move? What is wrong with it?
It puts him in the limelight.
How?
If he has, of course. If you look at, for example, some of the polls that have come out, it puts him, because on a regular basis, it's in the media. It may be a falsity, a false assumption, it could be a reality. That's why I said he's a man I respect. But the man is also a very strategic person. Politics is about strategy. Though he's not going out there saying that I want to contest, people have assumed that, look, there is some ambition behind this. And you see, this thank you tour, he's doing it methodically. You see, he's doing it methodically. So it's like he's picking and choosing as and when he's suiting. Look, that is the reality. This is strategy. Pure strategy. So you see, when there is a disconnect, disconnect between government and everything, that is the reality. And of course, he's speaking finance. But at that point, will you consider that as a sabotage? I don't know. Because if the education minister gets the clearance, obviously you'll be in the good books of a certain number of people. That gives him that particular leverage going forward. So let's just say if the finance minister is interested, then you can make a conclusion that there is a sabotage. If he is not, is he doing it on behalf of someone who is also a potential candidate?
But what will be...
Then apart from that...
what will even be the basis for any sabotage, whether seeming or real? Because as we speak, I don't think Ato Forcing has told anybody publicly that he wants to contest the flag bearership. Neither has Haruna Idrisu told anybody that he wants to contest the flag bearership. People are free to speculate based on the kind of leadership, qualities that they're exhibiting to say that, well, this person is a potential flag bearer of the NDC. Now, you can only suspect sabotage when you know it as a matter of fact that somebody wants what you also want, and the person is doing everything possible to undermine you. But in this case, I haven't heard, not privately or publicly, that any of these gentlemen, whether Haruna Idrisu or Ato Forcing, has gone to say it anywhere that they are interested in. So I'm wondering what really is the basis for that sabotage. What really is the basis for it?
Well, since you are not in that, kitchen, you may not know.
Okay.
Or appreciate some of these things. So, for example, I wouldn't want to say if it is a sabotage. But
even then, Haruna Idrisu, I don't think, I haven't heard him. I know that I have not heard Haruna Idrisu go somewhere to go and say that, well, he feels sabotaged because he wants X, Y, Z, and the finance ministry is not doing that, and so he thinks it's a case of sabotage. I don't know. He only talked about the fact that if it's about the video you're referencing, where he said, well, I want to recruit X, but I've not gotten clearance from the finance ministry for me to do it, and that's why we have the situation we're having. Some people have read all kinds of meetings, and they're entitled to it. But whether that in itself is a fact, I'm not sure.
The word sabotage is my word.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be clearly stated. It could be a mere perception, it could be a reality.
Okay.
Politics is also more about perception sometimes. You need to look at the optics and then draw your own conclusions. I think for now, if there is internal despondency, why? Because the leadership, why is Mr. Bande complaining that the relationship between government and the party has not been the best?
Yeah.
Who represents the party? Which people, which category of people is he referring to as the party? Is it the leadership? Is he, what's the name? Morris Sander.
Yes.
Asking, is it the leadership or the grassroots? There is general despondency on the ground. The government is doing creditably well. The indicators are there. The president, the vice president, the team, they have done creditably well. So why are they drawing daggers onto themselves? They don't have to openly say it. They have friends, they have peers, they converse, they hear things. So for example, I was looking at the Feed Ghana, is it Juma or something, Feed Ghana program. The president cut short for the plant to be built at Bichim.
Yeah.
The Nkukwa Ketenkete have been distributed. How is it that up to now, it's supposed to have about 6 months, they should have built that thing? So where is the money? Somebody is not releasing the money for that work to be done. That work is still progressing, no money has been paid. Is it because it is assumed that the Greek minister has that, what is it called, ambition, either real or unreal, as you suggested, whether it is speculation or it is speculation? Whom are you trying to sabotage? It's the president. He is the appointer. So, big push. Look at the way big push is pushing itself everywhere. So, maybe Mr. Kwame Agbodja doesn't have presidential ambition. Is that the case that big push is continuing unabated? I think that they must look at the legacy that the president intends to have. Because becoming a flag bearer, you are not going to rely on the things that they did prior to 2016, 2012. No, people will remember 2024 to 2028 more than any of those previous years. So if the president does not have the peace of mind to do things of that nature, everybody else, you are going to be laughing at the wrong side of your mouth. Then secondly, I have said that if the MPP, if the NDC will win or lose the 2028, it's based on two things, win or lose. One, the legacy of the president. And by far, it is far better than what they inherited. So if by 2028, inflation that you met at 23.8 is now 24, 25, even 30, you are in trouble. It means that there is a reason to bring that about me. If that GDP, which is now 45, ended at 65, or so it's 41 or 45, 61 as at 2024, then 45, as at the end of 2025. If it goes beyond 61, they have every reason to bring back the Tabaumia, right? If the interest rate should go beyond 29, 30, today it is obviously even in the, lower digits, 14, 10, and so on and so forth. Even if you look at Treasury bill, the rate and other things. If this rate go beyond, right, what they met, there is every reason that Ghanaians want to bring Mr. Dr. Baumia back. And so on and so forth. If the cedi depreciates against the dollar than what you met, what is that? Then, because these are the 4 or 5 major areas that affect every Ghanaian, wherever you are. Because today, if not long ago, before the US, Iraq, Iran, and Israel war, what was the price of fuel? We were enjoying consistent reduction because of the strength of the cedi. But in the previous years, I was buying it at a gallon of 75 cedis. So if it goes beyond that, Ghanaians will have a reconsideration, right? Those are the... No, it is better you speak it in, you say it in public.
He may disappoint you and say he will not even contest. He may disappoint you.
I don't have any of this thing. You get the point. But you see,
yes, oh, are you also interested in commenting on it? This one is Dr. Jonathan's party matter.
Thank you.
Or you have an opinion on it?
I'm just saying that. Look, these
you don't have to stay outside. You want to come inside.
Look, these lamentations coming from the NDC are depressing.
Why?
It's just wrong. Stop it, NDC.
Why?
You have not even done 2 years. It's too early for these woes, pathologies, lamentations. It's just depressing. That's not the research you promised. That's not what you gave us. And the reason why they're coming this early is because there is a spectacular disconnect between what the NDC is selling and what the party and their full soldiers are feeling. That is the bane of content. That is what is producing this disconnect. You heard Doc listed. Inflation is down, yes. Dollar is down, yes. Interest rate is down. All this and blah blah is down.
Dollar is not down. CD, just the CD.
CD are picking. Let me accept it. So if this is happening, if the economy is booming, if things are doing good, why are the foot soldiers of the NDC lamenting and complaining? So it means that on paper this is happening, but it's not affecting them. There's research to show that. The Africa Policy Lens research clearly shows that. Every research shows that people are suffering. Food insecurity is getting worse. So is this disconnect that is causing it? 1. 2, I heard the Venerable Kwesi Pratt lamenting about this same issue. Mr. Kwesi Pratt, please, weep not for John Mahama and the NDC. Weep for our poison rivers. Weep for Galamsey. Weep for the poor cocoa farmers, the poor maize farmers, the poor rice farmers, the poor yam farmers. Weep for the unemployed nurses and the unemployed teachers. What? Weep for them. Do not weep for the NDC because the NDC knows what they are doing. If somebody has to weep for them, they are those that demand your sympathy. Because you see, if these people were not treated this way, we wouldn't be here we are. The NDC is getting heat from the grassroots up. They are getting heat from poor maize farmers in Sisala East and poor rice farmers and maize farmers. They are getting poor from this. So it's oozing up and they are feeling it. That is why these lamentations. People are trying to jump the ship. Mustafa Gwandi is in a hurry to jump a sinking ship. He's trying to make sure that when the day comes, he can tell them that I was on your side. The national chairman is trying to jump a sinking ship. He's trying to tell them that I was on your side, not on the government side. Because you made this point here. You just made it here. The president is not a lame duck president. President John Dramani Mahama is not a lame duck president. He's probably one of the most experienced presidents in this country. But he's seen it all. He's seen his last time. He is not weak. He's not lame duck. So if he can crack the whip, why is he not cracking the whip? The point I'm saying is that I want you to understand.
And I'm asking, why must he crack the whip?
Good. I don't know. He shouldn't. I'm just saying he's not weak. He's strong. He's not lame duck. He's still in charge. Let me tell you why. The NDC, since their inception, has a succession plan. They have a history. You know that plan. In 1992, since Rawlings became president, there was a succession plan. It started in 1998 with the famous Swedro Declaration. He held virtual held Minister Stand and said, "This is my heir apparent, in whom I'm well pleased." It caused serious trouble in the NDC. Buzitano left to go and form Reform Party. A lot of things happened, but the NDC stuck to that. They lost the 2000 elections, lost the 2004 elections, but they stuck to Professor Mills. Came to power in 2008. They kept to that tradition. Even when Professor Mills passed, he saw rest in perfect peace. And Professor Mahama became, he wasn't basically contested because the NDC still, they got Professor Mahama to continue and go to 2008 and left. So the NDC has a tradition of selecting who replaces them. If you go by the NDC's tradition, the next person, the rightful person to succeed President Mahama should be Professor Jane Opoku Nana. That is their tradition. These early and premature ejaculations and moving around in politics is happening because they are trying to abandon that tradition. They are trying to, knock the woman down. They are trying to prevent us from having the first female presidential candidate and probably the first female president. That is where this whole thing is coming from. People think that the sitting vice president is weak. People think that the sitting vice president is not a presidential material. People that she cannot run, and so they are trying to overtake her. That is the bane of the problem. Let's say it like that. Mr. Pratt, if you are whipping, mention names. Mention that the national chairman of the party is out there campaigning when the government is barely 2 years in place. Say it. Mention his name. His name is, what's the name? Asiedu. Mention that name. The people lamenting is that the Minister of Education is sitting on media saying that I want to employ more nurses. The nurses will promise to employ. But I do not have money. The Minister of Finance is not giving me money to employ them. Mention that. Mention that the Minister of Health is saying that I want to employ more nurses to help solve the problem. But the Minister of Finance is not giving more money. Mention that. Mention that, say that the big push is not pushing because either through sole sourcing they didn't get the right contractors or somebody sleeping on the job. Mention names, drop names. Let's name and shame. My point is, when we try to be more cuddly about these issues, we let it fester. The president is not a lame duck. The president is strong. The president is in charge. Mention and let us go there. If you don't do that, it happens. So for the NDC, the only can say that go back to your roots. Go back to whom you are. Whom you are has a tradition, has a history that we support the sitting vice president to succeed the incumbent. If you do that, and if the whole power of the state, Rawlings brought the whole power of the government to support Mills, he did it. Rawlings wasn't a coward. Rawlings was brave man. He said, this is my successor in whom I trust. It came to happen. Professor Mills did that with John Mahama. Let the government do that. If you don't do that, this is not going to happen. These are natural things. Look, in every political party's life, succession plans are the most vicious and they're also the most destructive. Succession plans. Because there it becomes an internal contest, especially this particular one. Because see, if President Mahama was going 2 terms, then you could just know that all these ambitions will be nabbed about. But the fact that he has only 1 term to go, it fuels the sense. And look, they are natural. Ambitions in politics are natural. They come with the territory. People do not come into power just to be someone. No, they have ambitions to become president, and you cannot tell them when to be and when not to be. So they are natural. And that's why when the people was doing their primaries, and people were saying vicious and nasty things, and we were like, oh, the party Nubegu, party Nubegu. I say, hey, listen, you don't know what you're talking about because we've seen it before. And I told people that wait until the NDC starts. Wait until the NDC starts. There will be blood on the streets. It will be more vicious than this. And this is what we are seeing. We see just 1.5 years. If this continues to December, come to next year, listen. And I've told you, it's just beginning. And you are beginning to see it. So please, let's not pretend politicians will be politicians. None of these people will put their ambitions on hold because of what Mr. Kwesi Pratt is saying. No. None of them will put their ambitions on hold because of what Mr. Obande is saying. They won't put their ambitions on hold. But I'm saying that if the economy was doing that well, then these limitations will not come. And there's another thing that Doc says that I think that we need to address that thing. This false narrative that if the economy is doing well, the incumbent government ultimately will win. It's a false narrative. It's not backed by anything. It's not backed by any data, any science. J.A. Kufuor inherited a HIPC economy.
Yes.
He handed over a middle-income economy to Mills. By any stretch of the imagination, the economy J.A. Kufuor inherited was one of the best in this country, but yet NPP lost the elections. That is within this country. Let me give you another. I don't want to give foreign examples. Look, if you compare the performance of Trump, first Trump to this and
to be fair to Dr. Jonathan Ochi, he only mentioned economy as one factor.
I'm saying, I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's not the. I've just taken it. I'm saying that we have this false narrative.
You don't think the economy is a key determinant?
It's necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Well,
people vote for leaders. The economy, because today, I've just made a point. When you say the economy is doing well, today, you and I, and even Doug will agree. Cocoa farmers will not tell you the economy is doing well.
Right.
They will disagree with you. Maize farmers in Tumu, in Techima, in Bono, in Kintampo, all over the north will not agree with that the economy is doing well. Yam farmers in Northeast, in Northeastern, or rice farmers, they will not agree with you the economy is doing well. Chicken and poultry farmers in Greater Accra, maize rice farmers in Ketu North and Votery, they will not tell you the economy is doing well. So what they are voting for, if it's the economy, that is their economy. Their economy is not that, see, they are picking. Their economy is not that inflation is down. Their economy is not that, their economy is that a bag of maize is now selling about 250, and you need about 2-3 of them to buy a bag of fertilizer. So that's what I'm saying. Eventually, people also vote for a leader. The economy might be necessary, but it's not sufficient for you to win power. So we should stop this trend because it may lead to people, for one way, padding the numbers, padding the figures, think that could work. Now, point is that if the economy was actually doing well, if cocoa farmers were happy, rice farmers, some maize farmers were happy, the hit that the NDC is getting from the ground will not be there. And then this early jockeying for power will not come. Everybody will be on the scene. I'm saying that people are preparing the ground to jump the ship if their thing is sinking.
But even if, let's even say granted, let's proceed with your argument that, and that's not to say I agree, so let's agree.
Yeah, I agree.
that the economy is not doing well?
No, I'm not saying I've agreed. It's true. I've mentioned it.
I know, because you said...
No, that's not what I'm saying. That
okay.
even if the economy is doing well,
yes,
it's not necessary. It's not sufficient.
No, even if means that
okay,
you don't agree.
If the economy,
for the sake of argument,
that a good economy. So let me put this so simply you get.
Okay.
A good economy might be necessary, but it's not sufficient for political party to win power.
Okay. I'm saying to you that even if the economy was doing, or let me rather put it this way, are you saying that the fact that the economy is doing well or not doing well means that if people don't have jobs, they must not complain?
No, they must, what I'm saying is this.
Yes.
It's like you're talking what I'm saying.
Yes.
Everybody's economy is different.
Yes.
There's the general economy. There's what is, let me say on paper, what
Yes.
is it? But the question is, you are a cocoa farmer. And they've told you that, see, they are picking.
Yes.
They've told you that interest rates are down.
Yes.
They've told you that inflation is down.
Yes.
Are you
Because
happy?
you see, hold on. Doc talked about the fact that there's some despondency,
Yes.
On the part of the rank and file of the NDC, based on his own
He said it. Yeah, I agree.
knowledge of what's happening on the ground.
Yes.
And you are saying that one of the reasons why there's this whole talk about the strained relationship between party and government is because the party foot soldiers are not happy, and that. Why is it that? And I hope I understand what you're saying.
Keep going.
Why is it that an economy, even though the government touts its economic, success and so on, why are the party full soldiers complaining?
That's a legitimate question.
And so I'm saying that statement then begs the question that does the fact that the economy is doing well mean that if somebody has fought or campaigned for their party to come to power, and they are looking for some small opportunities, either to some small contract here, or they want to get a job here, or they want to get scholarship here, and so on and so on, and they are not getting it.
Yes.
Are you saying that in itself is symptomatic of a bad economy? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So I want
let me
clarity on
explain what
that.
I'm saying.
Yes.
What it's saying.
Okay.
There's an economic theory says that the rising tides lifts all boats.
Yes.
So the idea is that if the tides are rising,
Okay.
then all the boats will rise with it,
Okay.
and you feel it. So if the economy is doing well, you've just graduated from Tamale Technical University with engineering, you get a job. If you get a job and you are doing well, you don't care about, there's no pressure on the political appointees.
I agree with you.
No, let's continue.
Yes.
If the tide is rising, then all these things are rising. If the economy is feeling, if people feel it in their pocket, people feel it in their daily lives, then their lamentations and woes will not make their way through their MPs. So the point is, so the question.
But you also agree with me that for us to get to where you want us to get to,
yes.
what should be the vision of every political leader?
Agree
with you, but I'm saying that for us to get there,
yes,
I'm sure you also agree with me.
Yes.
That the fundamentals must be right.
I'm not arguing about
But the question to you now is, are the fundamentals right?
I'm not arguing with you about this thing. I'm making the point that if it's not up to me to tell an unemployed nurse that the fundamentals are right or not. It's not up to me to tell the maize farmer who has 3 years stock of maize, 1,000 of bags, cannot sell, cannot farm, that the fundamentals are right. It's not up to me to tell him or her. Okay. I am saying that he must sit there and say, oh, this economy is doing good because of his economy. And so long as he's saying that this is good, we can argue, and we researchers, he's a researcher I am, we have no choice but to quote these numbers, to stand this, to say this. We will have to do that.
That's fine. Look, I want to beg you. Let me bring in my viewers. If you don't want one, so let me bring in our viewers. Let me bring in our viewers, and then I have some one or two people I need to celebrate. Very, very important people. Okay. So a very good friend of mine, Sadat, he's a lawyer. He's shared some information with us. He says, "Good morning, bro. Kindly prompt Asante that Asiedu Nketia is doing the thank you tour with other elected officials like Azoka. You know, Azoka is a first vice chair of the party, who is also a vice chairman, and there's lawyer Raouf, who is also a vice chairman, etc. So the impression should not be that there is no single elected national officer with him in the tour." Doc wants more. He says he wants more. Anyway, so McLean Desmond from Sishi says that we continuously hear allegations that the finance minister is not releasing adequate funds to some ministries, supposedly because certain ministers are considering potential contenders in the upcoming NDC presidential primaries. This is a very, very worrying situation because as a country, we need every ministry to function effectively in order to address the numerous challenges confronting us. It would be unfortunate if ministries are being unhandicapped because of internal political interests and power struggles. President John Dramani Mahama should, as a matter of urgency, investigate these allegations thoroughly and ensure that the right measures are taken in the interest of Ghana and not a personal interest. MD Sefiri also, again, it remains, it's purely speculative, and I'm not sure if the president is going to bother himself with all kinds of speculation. I'm sure there's a hardcore evidence or something untoward is happening. I'm sure the president will take an action. So Musa Abatwa from Sawase says that just look at how Dr. Zato is passionately discussing NDC matters while forgetting that their own issues are even worse. He could have strategically used the opportunity to convince Ghanaians to reconsider Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, whose image has been tainted. And we in the NDC have a constitution that clearly spells out how internal politics should be handled. So President Mahama remains focused on delivering for Ghanaians and is not perturbed by anybody's ambition. My only concern is the behavior of some appointees. Some of them do not respond to messages, let alone pick up calls. Public office comes with responsibility and accessibility, especially to the grassroots who work tirelessly for the victory of the NDC. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says that, good morning, my brother. I'm so disappointed listening to your program this morning. So we are today describing the attacks and insults by Bronya to the judge as free speech. Then God have mercy. I will not mince words this morning. I'm so disappointed by Dr. Zato this morning. We should remember that we are building a country and not political parties. Moro, you remember the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kudia, dragged Abronya to the disciplinary committee of the NPP simply because Abronya attacked his person. Why didn't he consider that as free speech? Moro, trust me, if my sister was to be the wife of Dr. Zato, I would have broken the marriage and take my sister back home. I'm so disappointed this morning. Now, no, this one is...
Will you take the children along?
I'm not sure about that. Gide Japan from Sefiu also says, the rate at which President John Dramani Mahama and his NDC government are arresting members of the opposition in the name of silencing freedom of speech is increasingly and incredibly alarming. I'm overly surprised how these same people who openly insulted the former president cannot tolerate the very things they themselves did while they were in opposition. And then Mansa Musa, that's my final message, says that it isn't always that I do agree with Dr. Zato on various issues, but this morning on the NDC alleged internal squabbling, he has my opinion delivered very efficiently and sensibly. It's a shame that the NDC rep has rather unnecessarily shown his side in this matter by his choice of words and demeanor, which is inappropriate and on blah, blah, blah. Thanks and good morning from Mansa Musa, Voice of London Radio. And Alfred Kodo Tradle says, I am astonished by Dr. Bamia's recent letter on free speech. Honestly, Dr. Bamia should be the last person to write such a letter. We're all in this country when Bubi Ansah was arrested for speaking his mind in 2022. Salamatu Mohammed was arrested for criticizing Akufo-Addo. Mensa Thompson of Asepa was also picked up for criticizing Nana Akufo-Addo. The worst of it was when a group, the MPP youth wing, attacked A+ in the studios of UTV during a live program simply because he was criticizing the Akufo-Addo, and then says, that's from Alfred Kojo. So let me tell you about the most wanted and the most desired and the most anticipated event which is coming off. Over 20 African countries, over 20 different African dishes, and also one host. The whole Africa is converging at Metro TV for the Cook Africa as part of the activities marking the celebrations of AU Days. On the theme, Healthy Bites, Brighter Africa, Cooking for Wellness, Come Taste Best African Cuisines on Saturday, 23rd May 2026, 9 a.m. prompt at Metro TV premises. As at Northridge, the event is a Metro TV initiative and is supported by Metro Digital, Metro Original TV and Original FM. It's sponsorship. For sponsorship, please call the number 054-028-1537. Cook Africa 2026, Healthy Bite, Brighter Africa, Cooking for Wellness. Now, congratulations to you, Professor Robert Ebo Hinson, and you've been
Probably when they go to court, then the charges are leveled. That is when you will know.
in the case of David Esando. The other day, it must have been Master Plata Jr. who gave me his AK. I believe so. But in the case of the Bono regional, how do you call it? Regional, I think it's the Bono. It's Agona West.
Agona is in the Goma.
Yes. They are. I think they are constituency organizer. I think that's David Esando.
I don't even want to deal with individual cases.
The reason why I'm bringing this up because of the point you just made, which is that you said it was the police that invited. In the case of that gentleman, it was actually the BNI. Now, when they got there, according to the Deputy General Secretary, he was here in the studio. It must have been on Friday or Thursday or so. He was here in the studio when this matter came up. And I asked him whether he had officially been told by the arresting authority why he had been arrested.
Yeah.
And Mustafa, who is Haruna Mohammed, Haruna Mohammed, told me that when he was there, when the lawyers asked the BNI officials, of course, he credits them for one thing, which is that they were very professional. He said that. But when they asked them, why are you arresting our client? He said the BNI officials told him it was because the gentleman had written or had caricatured John Mahama's picture somewhere and had written Dumso is back. And I was saying that, I'll be surprised if that in itself is a crime. But he insisted. I asked him 3 times, are you sure that's what the BNI official said? He said, yes. But you see, unfortunately for us, and because of the kind of communication structure that we have with some of the security and intelligence agencies, if you don't have an insider person where you can phone the person and say, is this what you said? You know, the BNI doesn't talk.
It's true.
National security, they don't talk. You understand what I'm saying? So you are unable to either validate or invalidate the claim the person has made. And so then you have to go with, because he's a politician, you know, so then you have to go with what he said. So for now, what is in the public domain is that David Sando was invited by the BNI because he said that Dumso was back, and he had put Mohammed's picture. I don't know whether I was watching on Facebook or somewhere. It was so that's why
he on bail?
He's on bail. He's been granted bail. Yes,
He's been granted
bail. Yes.
Well, we need to see whether he'll be sent to court. Other than that, it will amount to reckless use of state power.
Right.
Now, following this, I want to narrow it down on Abronye.
Okay.
Not because the judge declined bail or something of that sort. And I'll start by saying that, and which I said, I think, Metro TV Saturday in the morning. In this country, the support base of the NDC and the MPP cannot win anybody an outright election in this country. Because even if you checked the list of registered members of the MPP, how many are they? Would they even be up to 2 million? They will not. And yet, when the voting is done, they will hit 5 million. When voting is done, NDC could hit 6 million and vice versa. Who are those people? Now, this is the advice I'm giving.
Right.
There are certain demographics that you have to attract in order to win the election in this country. And I don't think that whatever MPP is doing is just to remain in opposition. They want to win. So we are looking at the non-aligned, the neutrals, right?
Yes.
Floating voters. You do not attract any of these demographics if you rely on the pronouncement of Abronye. What worries me sometimes, and I want to grant Dr. Bawumia that opportunity. Well, as a leader, you may want to identify yourself with the people who are supporting you, right? Okay. And then you want to, be there for them. Make one statement or the other. But if Dr. Bawumia identifies himself with Mr. Abronye, I pity him.
Okay.
I will pity him.
There
may be others.
Have you seen Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's statement on this matter?
The press freedom thing.
Yes.
So I'm linking it to that.
Okay.
So if we are looking at the culture of silence is back, I think that is just an exaggeration. It cannot be. Because why are we here if there is culture of silence?
Right.
And is anybody harassing us with the state power? It's because we are responsible and we are behaving responsibly. If you look at Press Freedom Index from 2021 up to 2025, 2021, Ghana was ranked 30th. Then we deteriorated in 2022, 60th. 2024, then we at least improved 50th. 2023, another deterioration, 62nd. Right? And 2024, 50th. Okay. In 2025, in the period where we are claiming the culture of silence is back, we are ranked globally 39th out of 180 and 4th in Africa.
Okay.
So if maybe the opposition is crying wolf about press freedom and other things, I think that it is not supported by data. And Dr. Bawumia likes to, interrogate data. So probably if it is not a matter of political statement, he should, avert his mind to this. So I am of the view that in all of this, if any of these arrests is not following rule of law, I am for it. I'll condemn that. Because if today it is affecting someone, and you think that you do not support that person, that is it. Tomorrow it could affect you. And as he rightly pointed out, who is going to be there for you? I think that behind the scenes too, government or the leadership must equally be talking to the police. There is a thin line between demoralizing the police from doing their work and then aggravating the situation because of over-enthusiastic policemen who will want to please the powers that be, right? That they are doing things to favor them. I don't think that is the case. The president, the vice president means they don't need any of such, self-aggrandizing decisions taken by the police. That is if it is not following, due process. And so I think that it is early days yet.
But anyway, please go ahead.
For somebody to think that this particular government has degenerated into a culture of silence is not backed, by data. And you see, this 1961 section, this section 2 of Mr. Afenyamake, referred to it, 208. It is there. It is still in the books, though. This thing has been repealed. That 1-2 is still there, and they will quote, against you. Why is it that if you cannot insult your father, whether in private or in public, why must you, in the name of politics, insult, abuse, accuse, unproven things against other people, or in the name of politics? And if the parties will haul individuals who act in an anti-party manner before the disciplinary committees and could be sanctioned, in the same way, they should allow the rule of law to prevail.
Okay. All right. I guess that we'll have to move on. We have 2 more topics to look at.
I just wanted to add something small. You see, I generally agree.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.